I have devoted 30 years of my life to my son, and I have always believed that every sacrifice will be worth it. But now that I am faced with his cruel words, I know I did wrong. I am Sarah Green, a 60-year-old mother who has devoted 35 years of my life to raising my son, Liam. I work tirelessly. I sacrifice a lot in the future. I give up my career, love, and even marriage just to take care of my son. I am not just a normal mother, but also a tireless worker, always trying my best. The long nights I sit and work extra, helping my son study. My son Liam has always been the number one priority in my life, and I believe that those efforts will pay off. But everything changed when I informed Liam that I had just lost my job. My son not worried about me and was angry. My son's words were like a slap in the face. "Mom, you are a burden to me. You are just a useless person." I stood there, thinking about my son in shock, unable to believe what he said. "Liam, I did everything for my son, but now I realize he is no longer my son. I have devoted 30 years to my son, and I always believed that every sacrifice would be rewarded. But now, when faced with my son's cruel words, I know I did wrong. And now, I will not continue to live in pain and exploitation. I feel so tired. That day, after Liam kicked me out of the house, I did not know what to do. I stood at the door in the cold wind, holding a suitcase with mixed thoughts in my head. I could not believe what I had just experienced. How many times have I sacrificed, devoted myself just for my family, but in the end I received those words. While I stood still, my heart was suffocated. I suddenly remembered the years I tried my best and the sleepless nights, the times I worked extra jobs to pay for Liam's education. Every penny I earn is the result of sweat and tears. I have given up many things, even my career, just to take care of my child. But I could not have imagined that this would happen. Liam would see me as a tool to make money, a never-ending source of finance. "Mom, I don't need you anymore. You are just a burden to me." Those words echoed in my head, like a sharp knife stabbing my heart. I suddenly realized that I could not continue living like this. I no longer wanted to be a mother who my child only saw as a money-making machine. I no longer wanted to sacrifice everything for someone who did not appreciate me. I decided to see my lawyer, someone who had worked with me all these years. I knew that Mrs. Ruth, who left me a large fortune, had died, but I still remembered her, remembered the love and respect she had for me. I remembered the promise I had kept all these years. Mrs. Ruth had left me a large sum of $10 million. When I met the lawyer, I couldn't contain my emotions. I sat down, looked into his eyes, and said, "I want to change my life. I don't want to continue living in this humiliation and disrespect anymore." I told him about the years of sacrifice, about everything I had done for my son Liam. I am no longer the mother that Liam needed. I am just a tool to make money in his eyes. The lawyer looked at me and nodded. "Sarah, it's time for you to live for yourself. You deserve a better life. You have sacrificed enough. I will help you." After leaving the lawyer's office, I felt like a weight had been lifted from my mind. The inheritance that Ruth left me was a new beginning, a chance for me to live the way I wanted. Without Liam, without that family, I decided to buy a new house, a place where I could start over. With the money in hand, I bought a luxury villa and felt free for the first time in my life. I would not let anyone, whether my son or anyone else, control my life. I would live for myself, no more meaningless sacrifices, no more exploitation. This time, I would be the one to control my life. I gave up everything for my child, but now I realize I cannot continue to live in this humiliation. After deciding not to let myself continue to live in Liam's ingratitude, I returned to my life with a new determination. I knew I could not turn back, could not return to being a mother who only knew how to sacrifice for her child without being respected. What matters now is that I have to find myself again, live for myself like I always dreamed of. No more Liam, no more family, just me with new days, a free life that I deserve. A week after I left home, I went to my lawyer, Richard. He was the only person I had trusted all this time, the one who had always been there for me when I needed advice. I told him what had happened, what Liam had said, the betrayal I had endured over the years. "I can't go on like this, Richard," I said, my voice still shaking. "I've devoted my life to Liam, but now I realize that he only sees me as a tool to make money. I have nothing left to sacrifice. Richard looked at me, his eyes warm and sympathetic. Sarah, you've devoted so much to Liam, but you also need to know that there are times when you have to live for yourself. It's time to stop. I nodded, feeling relieved at those words. No one else but Richard could have helped me see the situation more clearly. After that conversation, I decided to start over. I used the inheritance that my grandmother Ruth left me, a not insignificant amount, worth more than $10 million, to rebuild my own life. It was the start I needed. A week later, I decided to buy a new villa in a quiet suburb. The feeling of a new life full of hope excited me. Every room in the house made me feel peaceful and free. I didn't have to worry about Liam, Ashley, or the invisible responsibilities that I had carried for so long. This was the time I started living for myself, and I felt that I truly deserved it. While I was starting to get used to my new life, one day Liam unexpectedly came to find me. He didn't call first, didn't give any warning, just stood in front of my house, his eyes full of pleading for me. When I opened the door, he was standing there, his face tired and regretful. Mom. I'm sorry, I was wrong, Liam said, his voice a little hesitant. Can we talk, Mom? I looked at him for a moment, feeling the pain in my heart rise. He was still my son, but his betrayal made me no longer see him as the person I had devoted myself to. Liam, I don't know what else we have to talk about. What do you want from me? I asked, trying to stay calm. Mom did everything for you, and you treated her like this. Now you're here, wanting to apologize. Liam lowered his head, hesitated for a moment before continuing. Do you understand? Do you understand everything, Mom? I did wrong. I shouldn't have chased you away. I shouldn't have done those things to you. But, I was too selfish. I didn't understand how many years you sacrificed for me. I only thought about myself and didn't see what you did for me. I felt a strong wave rising inside me, and I had to control my emotions. Liam, you're right. You're so selfish. You think everything I do is just to make money for you, but it's not like that, baby, I do everything for you because I love you, but you hurt me. You saw me as a money-making tool, not a mother. Liam looked up, his eyes filled with regret. Mom, I didn't think so, but I realized you're everything to me, and I don't know what to do to make up for this mistake. I looked at him, but I couldn't forget the words he said before, what he did to me. Liam, I don't need your atonement. I've devoted my whole life to you, but I can't continue to sacrifice myself just to receive contempt. Now I'll live for myself. No one can control me anymore. Liam was silent for a moment, as if he was trying to understand what I had just said. Finally, he said weakly, Do you really not want to see me again? I sighed, my heart no longer feeling as sad as before. Liam, we can't go back to the way things were. I'm too tired. You'll understand one day. After that, I walked into the house and closed the door, leaving Liam standing outside, his hands clenched but unable to enter. My life would never be the same again. I had decided I wouldn't let anyone, not even my son, control my life. After meeting Liam, I couldn't forget the way he stood there, his eyes filled with regret and confusion. I knew that, although he might feel sorry, I couldn't let myself be hurt by his careless words and selfish actions. It couldn't be as simple as an apology. I was tired of trying to please everyone and forgetting about myself. As I began to change my lifestyle, spending more time with family and friends, I felt a huge difference in my relationships. I was no longer busy chasing after external standards, but began to see my loved ones as an important member in the process of developing my own actions. Intimate conversations, warm meals, or moments of sharing joys and sorrows together became invaluable values that I had never realized before. Moreover, I also learned that connection is not simply a physical reality, but sharing of emotions and understanding. I spent more time listening, not only at work, but also in personal relationships. The stories and emotions that I had overlooked now came back and became very important. I realized that everyone in my life has their own story, and truly listening, sharing, and understanding not only deepens the relationship, but also helps me grow every day. When I do that, I find that the changes I make are not only about my personal life, but also have a positive impact on the people around me. I realize that every small action, every right decision in caring for and building relationships contributes to a full and meaningful life. Life is no longer just a series of work goals or measures of success, but a process of acting like the people I love to grow together and overcome challenges. And through all of that, I understand that happiness is not a final destination, but a process, a harmony between what I want and what I can choose to go. When I found the balance between career, family, and myself, I no longer felt lacking or tired. I learned to love and respect what I had, and did not need to prove myself through material things in society. It was acceptance and unconditional love that helped me find a meaningful life path, not only for myself, but also for the people I love. When I look back, I realized that all the changes in my life did not stop at taking care of myself, but also about sharing and building sincere connections with the people around me. I did not find joy only in work or personal success, but true joy comes from being able to help and spread love. Taking care of family, spending time with friends, and overcoming challenges. That is the valuable firm. I began to realize that every little action of mine can make a difference in the lives of others, and that is what makes me feel my life is truly fulfilled. We often think that happiness comes from achieving big goals, but in reality, happiness is the simple moments of entertainment, what we give and receive from our loved ones. The changes in me have opened up a new world, where I find joy not only from work, but also from the relationships I have built. And I know that only when I am true to myself and share with those around me can I find complete happiness. Mom, I know it's too late now. I know I hurt you. But Mom, can you give me another chance? Liam looked at me, his eyes filled with pleading. But I wasn't easily swayed. Another chance? Liam, I gave you everything. Every second, every breath I took was for you. But in the end, what did you do? Kicked you out of the house, called me a burden, useless, and just trash. You can't keep living in that pain. I said, my voice no longer as tense as before, but still full of determination. Liam took a deep breath, bowing his head. I was wrong, Mom, but I really need you. You're the only one I have. You can't just leave me. I didn't know how to cherish you, and now I want to make it up, to start over. I shook my head, unable to help but feel a little pain in my heart. But this pain cannot make me go back to the past. Liam! I did everything for you to have everything, but now I realize that I can't live for you anymore. I have to live for myself. I have sacrificed too much, and I don't regret what I did for you. But I will not continue to live in this humiliation. Liam looked up, tears glistening in his eyes, but I could no longer feel pity. Mom, I was wrong. I don't know how to make it right. But if you don't forgive me, I won't be able to live. I looked into his eyes, feeling the weakness and despair in him, but I couldn't save it anymore. Liam, you can't just live in the past. I can't continue to stand behind you and do everything for you when you don't appreciate it. It's time for you to stand up for yourself and live your life without me. Liam was silent for a long time. Then finally, he looked at me with a disappointed look. So what do you want me to do? I have no one else but you. Liam, I did everything I could, but you need to learn to live on your own. I won't always be there for you. Don't wait for me to save you. You have to save yourself. Liam turned around, and this time I knew not the end of the story, but the end of a phase in my life. I was no longer the mother of an ungrateful son. I was a strong woman, standing up for myself to live my own life. A month had passed since my last meeting with Liam, and I thought things would calm down, but I was wrong. Not only did Liam not stop, he started a social media campaign. I never expected that someone I had raised all my life could degrade me to this extent. My whole family, from Ashley to family friends, turned their backs on me. Liam had made himself the victim in a story he had created. He told everyone that I was a heartless mother who abandoned him when he needed me the most. He said that I was not helpful in his life and only wanted to use my son. When I found out, the pain in my heart rose again. But this time, I was no longer weak like before. I looked at my phone, where everything from Liam's videos to the false stories, all were spreading like wildfire. People started criticizing me, calling me a bad mother, a selfish person. But instead of getting angry, I decided to do one thing. The truth would speak. One evening, when Liam was live streaming on social media, I decided to watch and join his conversation. My heart no longer felt the pain like before. Instead, I felt a sense of relief, knowing that I had the truth with my son. Hi, I'm the mom Liam was talking about. I know you've heard a lot about me, about what he said. But today I want to tell you the truth, I began, not hiding any emotion from my voice. Liam looked at the screen, realizing that I was joining his online conversation. He looked surprised, but then he didn't stop trying to defend the story he had made up. Mom, what are you doing again? Can't you see that this is only making things worse? Liam said, his voice a little panicked. I couldn't take it anymore because I knew I couldn't let him keep lying. Liam, you can't keep lying. Do you remember what I did to help you survive when you were little? I worked 3 jobs to pay for the hospitals. I sold my house, even moved into a rundown apartment to pay for your education. And how did you repay me? I said in a firm but determined voice. Liam sat silently for a long moment, his eyes wide as if he couldn't comprehend what I had just said. What do you mean? He stammered. I didn't know. I didn't know that Mom did those things. You didn't know? I said, snickering. Don't you know that when you were abandoned in the hospital, I brought you home and took care of you every day? Don't you know what I had to do to save your life? Don't you know that I gave up my marriage just so you could have a better life? You don't know anything, and now you say I'm ungrateful. Liam lowered his head, his eyes no longer confident as before. Mom, I was wrong, but I didn't think you would say that to everyone. I have nothing more to say to you, Liam, I said coldly. You are not the child I once loved. You are just a selfish person who only thinks of yourself. And I can't continue to live in that guilt and hurt. I emphasized each word, not allowing him to avoid the answer. And now you will face the truth. You cannot continue to create false stories. I am not the mother you want to see. I am a woman who has decided to live for herself. Liam remained silent, only tension in the air. He understood that everything had changed forever. I was no longer the mother who easily forgave and continued to forgive his ingratitude. At that moment, I no longer felt the pain. The truth was revealed, and I had said it all. Liam was no longer my son. He was just a stranger I had loved. My life now belonged to me, and I would not let anyone, not even my son, force me back into the life I had left. After I publicly revealed the truth about the years I had devoted to Liam, a strange silence filled the space around me. The online community was constantly supporting me. The criticism and public anger towards Liam seemed stronger than ever. From Liam's old friends to his family members, everyone could not understand why he behaved like that. I knew things were changing, but what I did not expect was that the consequences of Liam's lies were so profound. One day, when I had just returned home from a meeting with a lawyer, I received an unexpected call. On the other end of the line was Mr. Richard, my lawyer who had helped me throughout the litigation process. He said that Liam had come to see him, and he wanted to talk to me again. I don't know if I should see him, Richard. Everything is clear, I said, my heart in turmoil. Sarah, I think you might need to see Liam again. Not because he might change, but because of you. If you don't see him, he might keep blaming you. Maybe he needs some help, Richard said, his voice serious. But I didn't feel like I could save anything. All I wanted was a peaceful life. However, I finally agreed to see Liam, just because I didn't want him to continue causing chaos. The next day, Liam came to my house. He came in looking gaunt, his face looking haggard and tired. He didn't look at me, but just stood there as if waiting for me to say something. I couldn't help but notice the change in him. The confidence he once had was completely gone. Mom, I'm sorry, Liam said, his voice low and weak. I don't know what to do. I can't change what I did, but I want to say that I'm sorry. Can you forgive me? I looked at him, feeling the regret in his eyes, but my heart felt empty. I couldn't forget what he had done, couldn't forgive someone who had made me feel like an unnecessary person in his life. Liam, you don't understand, I began, my voice hard. You don't know how much I've sacrificed. I gave up everything for you to have this life, and you treat me with such cruel words. Do you think an apology can fix it? Liam stood still, not knowing what else to say. He bowed his head, his eyes glistening but without tears. I sighed, my hands clenching. I don't need your forgiveness anymore, Liam. I spent my whole life raising you, and you betrayed me. You can't treat me like that and then expect things to go back to the way they were. I said, the pain rising in my heart, but I was determined not to let the tears fall. Mom, I know I was wrong, but you can't leave me like that. You can't just leave me forever, Liam said, his voice filled with despair. You don't understand, Liam, I said, my voice suddenly tired. You left everything for me. I'm not the son you raised all these years. I'm just a selfish person who only knows how to take and not give. Liam looked up, his eyes filled with hurt. Don't do this. I know I was wrong, but can you give me a chance to make it right? I really don't know what to do. No, Liam, I can't go on like this. Mom has done enough. I want to live for myself now, not for you, I said, my voice more determined than ever. I took one last look at Liam and turned away, feeling like I had done the right thing. It was over. No son, no apology, no persuasion could change this decision. My life was mine now, and I no longer had to live in the shadow of a son who didn't appreciate me. After all that had happened, I finally felt like I had entered a new chapter in my life. Liam was no longer my son, and the family I had sacrificed for was no longer there to make me feel like an important part of their lives. But I didn't feel empty. On the contrary, I felt light, free, and at peace. The new house I bought was the perfect place to start over. A house located in a quiet suburb where I can enjoy the tranquility of nature and make the most of every moment. Days to live for myself. The flower garden in front of my house was in full bloom, and every morning I woke up to a room filled with sunlight. That was all I needed to heal the wounds in my heart. This life, I realized, is not about living for anyone else, but living for myself. I spent too many years for my family, for a son who never really understood who I was. But now, I can love myself, take care of myself without feeling guilty. I started to participate in hobbies that I had neglected for many years. Painting, writing a diary, and even learning to cook a new dish every week. Life is no longer stressful, no longer worrying about meaningless wars. Every day, I just need to live with the things I love. One weekend morning, I decided to share this journey of mine with everyone through a post on social media. I want to inspire those like me who have sacrificed too much for others and forgotten about themselves. Life is ours, and only when we know how to love ourselves can we truly find happiness. After everything I have been through, I realize that happiness is not something that can be given or taken from others. Happiness can only come from ourselves. If you are living for others, for the expectations that others set, stop and think again. Live for yourself. Take care of yourself before thinking about anyone else. Finally, I want to say, don't let anyone, whether family or loved ones, force you to live a life that is not yours. You have the right to love yourself. The right to live for what you want. Never let yourself become a part of someone else's story. Create your own story because you deserve it. If you have gone through similar struggles or are looking for a way to get back on your feet, please feel free to share your story with me below. Together, let's create a strong community where people can support each other on their journey to self-love and a happy life. Leave your comments or questions in the comment section. I'd love to hear your story.